You just stole $25 million without touching a single server, 15 transfers, 5 accounts, 40 minutes on a video call. The money moved while the real CFO was sitting in his London office drinking his morning coffee, with no idea his face was somewhere else. The call has ended. The chat log looks real. The calendar shows the meeting happened. Every person in that room was a ghost made of code, and you built every one of them from footage that was already online. Now let's talk about how you did it. January 2024, Hong Kong. The city runs on finance the way other cities run on oil, quietly, continuously, with the specific hum of money that never stops moving. Arup has an office here. 78 years old, 18,000 employees, 34 offices globally. The firm that gave the world the Sydney Opera House, the Bird's Nest in Beijing, the spine of La Sagrada Familia. A company so established that its name alone is a form of trust. That trust is exactly what you needed. The email arrives on a Tuesday morning. It appears to come from the CFO at UK headquarters. The tone is precise, professional, slightly pressured, the specific register of a senior executive who expects things to move at his pace. There is a confidential acquisition in progress. Sensitive, time-critical. He would like to speak on a secure video call today. The finance officer who reads it hesitates. The thought is there. Phishing, social engineering, he has had the training. He sends a brief reply asking to confirm. A second message comes back within minutes. More detail. A meeting link. Everything looks exactly right. He gets on the call. The CFO is there. His face, his voice, the slight pause he makes before answering a difficult question, the way his eyes move when he is thinking through something. 6 colleagues from the UK office are on screen with him. Faces from all-hands meetings, company video updates, the kind of people you recognize without having spoken to directly. The whole room is present. The CFO explains the situation clearly. A strategic acquisition, time-sensitive, cannot be disclosed publicly yet. Funds need to move today through accounts set up specifically for this transaction. He asks clarifying questions. The CFO answers them. He asks about the authorization chain. The CFO walks him through it, patiently, precisely. Every single person on that call is fake. They didn't hack anything. They took his face from earnings calls and conference recordings. Hours of footage any researcher could find in an afternoon. They fed it into software that learned exactly how his features move when he speaks. Then they ran it in real time, responsive, reactive, present. They did the same with his voice. Cadence, pitch, the specific rhythm of how he pauses before a difficult answer. They built a person, and then they put him on a call. They did it 6 more times. A full room, a full meeting, a full authorization chain that existed entirely inside a screen. You make the first transfer, then the second. By the time you reach the 15th, the number on the screen is 200 million Hong Kong dollars, 25.6 million US dollars, 5 separate accounts. You are still on the call when the last one clears. The accounts are empty before the call summary finishes loading. $25 million moved through a cascading network of intermediary accounts with the mechanical efficiency of a system designed from the first keystroke to disappear. Financial investigators can trace where the money went next and then next again. But at each step, the trail branches, the amounts fragment, and the accounts are registered to identities that do not correspond to real people. You find out what happened the way you find out about most disasters. Not immediately, but in the quiet moment after when you mention it to someone who should already know. You phrase it as a follow-up. A routine confirmation after a large authorized payment. There is a pause on the other end of the line. The pause lasts long enough that you notice it. Then the person you are speaking to says they have no record of any such authorization. You ask them to check again. They check. The real CFO has no idea what you are talking about. He was not on a call with you today. He has not been in contact with the Hong Kong office about any acquisition. The number you wired, 200 million Hong Kong dollars, means nothing to him because it came from a conversation he was not in. Hong Kong police are notified in January. The case becomes public in February, when Senior Superintendent Baron Chan Shun-Ching stands in front of reporters and says, in the multi-person video conference, It turns out that everyone he saw was fake. 8 words. The entire architecture of a new kind of fraud, stated in 8 words. 6 people are arrested in connection with a broader pattern of AI deepfake fraud across Hong Kong. Stolen identity cards, fake bank accounts, a system built to receive exactly this kind of transfer and move it onward before anyone notices. None of the arrests are publicly connected to the Arup case. The people who built the deepfakes, ran the call, and disappeared with the money remain at large. Arup confirms the incident publicly in May 2024. Our financial stability and business operations were not affected, the company says. Rob Gregg, the global chief information officer, is more direct. He calls it technology-enhanced social engineering. No systems were compromised, no data was breached, no firewall was bypassed. The entire security architecture of the operation was a video call. What the attackers understood, and what made this so clean, is that the fundamental vulnerability in any financial institution is not the network, it is the human. Firewalls can be hardened, passwords can be encrypted, multi-factor authentication can be layered, but at some point a person with authorization to move money has to make a judgment call about whether what they are seeing is real. And for decades, the assumption built into that judgment was, if I can see the person's face and hear their voice and watch them react to what I say, that person is real. That assumption is no longer safe. It was built for a world where replicating a human face on a live call required resources only nation-states and major studios could access. That world ended somewhere between 2022 and 2023. The financial systems of most large organizations did not get the update. You did everything right. You had doubts when the first email arrived. You reached out. You confirmed. You asked the clarifying questions. You looked at the faces on the screen and heard the right voice and watched the right eyes move in the right way. You were not careless. You were not naive. You were a trained professional doing your job in a world that had not yet updated its assumptions about what a human face on a screen actually proves. The face you trusted was built from public footage, investor presentations, conference panels, the kind of professional video content that companies spend money producing and distribute freely to demonstrate credibility. The same content that builds trust in the legitimate world becomes the raw material for its subversion. The calendar still shows the meeting. The transcript still reads like a real conversation. The meeting request still sits in your inbox, time-stamped and attended. The CFO in London never knew he was somewhere else. The question the Arup case leaves open is not whether this can happen again. It is already happening again. The question is what verification actually looks like in a world where a face and a voice are no longer evidence, where the person across the screen can be present and absent at the same time, where $25 million can leave an account during a conversation that never happened. Nobody has been charged. Nobody has been publicly identified. The money is gone. Have you ever been on a video call and felt something slightly off, but said nothing? Drop it in the comments.